Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Football Fignuts podcast. This is Season 3, Episode 41, and if you counted all of them, it'd be 141. I'm Craig.
My name is Britt.
And Britt, we're back.
Yes. In the
Social
middle of the
distancing,
draft.
but back.
Yep, you're still in the Blake Bortles Memorial Studio. I'm down here in the Frank Gore Extension Studios in gorgeous Milford, Connecticut. And we are entering day 2 of the draft. It is Friday, April 24th, 2020, as we're recording for you guys right now to release tomorrow morning, hopefully. And wow, the first round. Wow.
Yeah.
Everything went according to script for the most part, but a couple of things stuck out, and we're going to talk about all of it. And I have the results. If you listen to episode 140, we did 5 over-unders with Cinch. I have the results of those bets.
Nice.
But first, let's start where we always start. Craig, what are you drinking tonight?
Tonight, I have a can that the beer Santa brought me.
Oh, no. Are you drinking Compte?
I am.
That's what I'm drinking. I have a can of Compte. There it is. So let me tell you a little bit about Compte. Compte is a collaboration between Bad Sons in Derby, Connecticut, and Armada Brewing. It's an Amarillo and Centennial hopped hazy pale ale. It is technically not an IPA, and it is only 5.5%. I could drink 5 of these and still get up and operate heavy machinery. I probably wouldn't, but I mean, like, the first time I drank this, I'm like, this is just really light and easygoing. Now, have you tried it yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so this is not a fresh try from either of us on this one, but yeah. So I decided last Saturday, I was so bored, and I knew that it's called Compte because it's the collaboration between the two breweries, with the proceeds going to one of the restaurant funds. I'm looking to see if it goes the fund to support workers impacted by recent shutdowns in Connecticut. So I went online and bought a case of it. And my wife is like, what are you going to do with a case of a beer you have never tried before and may hate? And I said, I'm going to tell you. I said, I am going to play Beer Fairy. And I literally drove to Craig's house, to Cinch's house, and to our friend and occasional contributor Sean's house, left 4 packs on each of their doorsteps, rang the bell, and ran like hell back to my car.
That's what he did.
Yeah.
That is what he did.
It killed 2 hours, and at the end of the day, I came home with a couple of cans of it, and I have it for myself. But it's not terrible. It's not great. I mean, I expected more juiciness out of a hazy pale. It's very light. It's very refreshing. I'm just glad that they did something like this for all the folks who are struggling out there. What did you think of this beer, Craig?
This beer, just like you said, it's really light. The flavor on it is pretty much how Britt delivered the cans. So basically, you drink this beer, you taste hops really quick, like, hey, there's hops here, and then it just goes away.
And you get almost this seltzery kind of finish to it. It's not even really a strong beer aftertaste. It's more of a seltzery kind of aftertaste. It's really that light as on the finish, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, some people like that. I like beers that scream hops from beginning to end. That's just me. That's why I drink so many IPAs and so many doubles. But this one is not one of those. And by the way, let's address the elephant in the room before we get to burning hot takes. In the background of the recording today, you may hear some interesting animal sounds. Craig's neighbor's dog is having a rough time today.
He is.
During warm-ups, I heard him howl on several occasions. So if you hear any strange animal noises in the background, we apologize, but this is a result of people having to do stuff from their homes. I mean, we saw last night some strange stuff in the NFL draft.
We did.
Mike Vrabel seemed to be broadcasting from a closet, while Cliff Kingsbury had like a castle.
Yes, he did. And then your buddy Jerry Jones was on his boat.
Jerry Jones was on his boat. The scariest thing for any Cowboy fan should be the fact that Jerry Jones was on the boat without any of his other decision makers.
It's just him.
It was just him. And they still have input, but this is Jerry Jones. And Jerry Jones will hang up Jerry Jones's phone when Jerry Jones is done listening to people who are not Jerry Jones tell him how to run Jerry Jones's Cowboys. So that should scare everybody, but they did a great job. That's actually one of my favorite picks of the first round. Let's get to some burning hot takes. Craig, you want to give or receive?
Receive.
Okay. Let's talk about the IPO that happened today. So DraftKings, a site that I use pretty frequently during the season, decided to make themselves a public company, and today was their initial stock offering.
Yep.
It wasn't the smooth rollout they had wanted. They ended up, I think their opening price was $20.49. They ended up at like 19 and change. Is it a good idea right now to be buying DraftKings stock, given the fact that they essentially have no means of income through their daily site except for like esports? Should they have delayed this?
If they're planning on doing this, given the current situation, I don't think delaying it would have helped. Mm-hmm. Because literally, you can bet on anything. Yeah. Really. So like right now, like I got that, not right now, but earlier today, I got an email from them being like, hey, we're public now. Have this free entry into a Madden simulation.
Oh, did they give you a free entry? That was nice.
They did. So I think if they were planning on doing it, waiting probably wouldn't have helped at all, because who knows when sports will be back in any capacity.
Yeah. So right now I just logged into their site. League of Legends has pools going today. Golf.
Yep.
I don't know what the hell golf this is.
Probably some PGA golf game.
I don't know what CSGO is.
That's Counter-Strike. That's a first-person team
Esports.
Shooter. Yep.
NASCAR. There's a NASCAR. What's RL?
RL.
RL.
That's a good one. I don't know.
Let's open it up.
All right.
RL 3K Prodigy. Okay, well, I'll draft a team and see what it tells me I'm looking at.
You can bet on professionals esport teams.
Rocket League.
Oh, there we go. I haven't played that in a long time.
Okay, I'm sorry. Are you serious? We're to the point where we're taking pulls on Rocket League.
Rocket League, man, it's a hard game to play. It's fun. It's crazy.
But it's not something I want to do on fantasy.
But people bet on
fantasy Rocket League. Do they?
Yes.
I mean, you're talking to a guy who got free entries into those stupid simulations and won 75 cents.
There you
somehow.
go.
I have no idea.
See?
So I disagree with Craig. I would not buy the stock right now. I don't think it's, if you don't want to delay it, that's fine. I would not buy them because we've never seen this particular site turn a reportable profit before. Their ad war with FanDuel was so expensive that, it left them in a hole. Then the merger fell through, all that stuff. I think this company is probably 2 or 3 years away from taking off. So my plan as an investor, and I do invest a little bit. I'm by no means a shark, but I invest a little bit. My plan is to sit back, and when they start talking about an opening day for football, then I pounce. So in August, if they say, okay, we're starting October 1st, I buy at the end of August.
And
I buy then.
You would still do it, say, it's a shortened season. Games are just players, no fans.
Yes, because it doesn't affect the ability to do DraftKings. If anything, we might see more. Last night, the NFL Draft posted the highest viewership it has ever posted before because no one had anywhere to go and no one had anything better to do. There was no baseball. There was no hockey. No basketball. There was nothing to do for a sports fan but watch the NFL Draft. So if the NFL becomes the only game in town and it's the only DFS option in town, then you're going to see an uptick on DraftKings regardless of the fact that people are not in the stadium. So
makes sense.
That's my take. What do you got?
Mine for me is just a simple question. Are you happy with the Chiefs pick?
It's bittersweet. And I'll tell you why. Because, excuse me, I'm trying not to belch into the mic. It's bittersweet because it basically means the end of Damian Williams. It means LaShawn McCoy will definitely not be returning, which he had indicated he probably wasn't going to come back. Um, it means that Shady's done. It means Damian Williams is probably going to end up as the backup, and that kind of makes me sad. But am I thrilled from a talent point of view? Absolutely. I did some reading up because again I don't follow college as closely as other folks. I watched the interview. I don't know what venue this was on. Maybe it was on ESPN last night. But I watched the interview between Andy Reid, Clyde, Clyde, Edward, Jebediah, Mariah. The wind is called. Spear, whatever. He had a long last name. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Helaire. I got to get used to that. Edwards-Helaire. So they interviewed him. It was Andy Reid, the GM from the Chiefs. Again, who's that guy? I don't even know who my own GM is. And they were interviewing him, and they were dropping some tidbits. So they passed Taylor and Swift. Not Taylor Swift, but two other good running backs that are out there in order to take this kid. And they were both guys I had in the first round, and neither one of them went in the first round.
Yeah, because there was Taylor and J.K. Dobbins.
Not in the first round. You're talking about in the pool?
Yeah, a pool of running backs.
Yeah, and Swift is still out there too.
Yes.
DeAndre Swift didn't go either. So they passed up these other guys. So the big question is why? And because Andy Reid has much better capital than, say, a Bill O'Brien, people weren't so critical of it as they were like, why? So I heard from Adam Kaplan this morning on one of the Sirius XM stations said that a couple of weeks ago, somebody contacted Andy Reid and said, you need to look at this Helaire kid. He reminds me of Brian Westbrook. Oh. And the response after Andy watched the tape, he texted the guy back and said, this kid is better than Westbrook was. And we all know how much Andy Reid loved Brian Westbrook. Loved him.
He did.
Loved him. So that's the reason they took him. The other part of the story was that players should never dictate who you take, but the GM decided to reach out to Patrick Mahomes and just say, what do you think? And he said to Patrick Mahomes, we've got a list of running backs. Don't think about it. Give me your gut check. Who would you want? And Patrick Mahomes responded with one word, Clyde. And the GM wrote back and said, that's exactly who we were thinking too. So the GM, the quarterback, and the coach all wanted this kid. I think he's going to be a tremendous addition. Again, it's bittersweet because it's going to mean the end of Damian Williams. Maybe not in the short term, because one of the things I want to discuss today is how impactful can these guys be? Maybe we'll talk about that in a second. But I'm happy with it. What did you think of the pick?
I was surprised. Like, I'm not surprised they picked him, but I'm surprised that Jonathan Taylor went into the second round.
And DeAndre Swift.
If that makes sense. Yes.
And DeAndre Swift. I'm shocked. This is not the guy I thought was going to go in the first round. It wasn't.
And so many teams now are doing the tandem running back thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it's one of the main reasons why I'm surprised that they're still there.
Yes.
Because you look at, because I love Kamara, but when Ingram left, it was a completely different running game.
It's different, yeah.
So
it's a different look. It was a way different look. So, my second question for you is Joe Burrow.
Yep.
Are you happy?
I am. The Bengals did something right, finally, for the first time in a very long time. He grew up a Bengals fan. He lives 2 hours away from Cincinnati.
He tried to go to Ohio State.
He applied to go to Ohio State. He was there, actually, and then transferred.
Just didn't get the opportunities there.
Yep. So I'm thrilled about it. I just hope that they put the things around him that he's going to need. My other thing, too, is the offensive tackle they drafted last year that got hurt and didn't even play. Hopefully he can come back at 100%.
Yeah. So according to ESPN, the next biggest need on the Bengals is wideout. And unfortunately,
No.
some of the best ones, well, according to ESPN, they've got this little tracker and it says QB, wideout, defensive end, outside linebacker, O tackle.
All right.
That
Well, okay. Any team can use people on offensive line. That's a given. They definitely need a linebacker in some manner.
outside linebacker.
Receiver, that's probably not where I would go in the second round.
Well, I mean, T. Higgins is still out there from Clemson. He's the seventh best guy on the board, but there is an offensive tackle, Ezra Cleveland from Boise State, who I could not pick out of a photo lineup you've asked me to right now. I have no idea who the hell he is. But I'm looking at the best available according to the immortal Mel Kiper, and it's a safety, a running back, DeAndre Swift, then an offensive tackle. So, I mean, I guess offensive tackle, Ezra Cleveland would be their best fit, and he's out there. So I was pleased with it.
Here's the thing. Would you want two rookies on both ends of the offensive line starting?
Well, you don't have two rookies. The guy that you drafted last year will technically be a second-year player.
Yeah, but he never played in a game.
But he's got a year around the team.
He does, but he never actually played in the NFL.
Correct, but he took place in practice. He's already familiar with the playbook. Maybe I might, but I mean, edge rusher. There's so many good edge rushers right now.
There are, so that's why I don't think they need to draft one in the second round. And plus, they have three edge rushers they rotate in that are good. So
then, what do you want them to do in the second round?
It's so hard. I would go probably linebacker.
Well, here's the problem. The best available linebacker right now is Zach Baun, and he's number 12 on the list from Wisconsin.
Yes.
You're passing both Jonathan Taylor and
Well,
Swift.
here's the other thing. Either it'd be a linebacker, or as much as I love Joe Mixon, I'm a big fan of having two running backs. If they draft Swift or Taylor, I would not be unhappy. Because
yeah,
it gives you room to play around with the playbook. So what happens if Mixon gets hurt again? You know, I love Gio, but is Gio the backup you are going to rely on 8 games to cover and then have no one else?
And maybe this lights a fire under Joe Mixon. Mixon has looked entirely too comfortable in his position.
Yes.
And he has not produced the way we thought he should.
And as we've seen in the last couple seasons, when teams draft a guy that may or may not replace someone, the person who's already there suddenly increases in performance.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I personally, would, if I were them, I would look at T. Higgins from Clemson, but I understand your point. So, all right, let's talk about let's delve even deeper into the draft. Let's start by talking about the over-unders and the results for that. So last week on episode 140, Craig and I did a Facebook Live, and Cinch was in the chat, so he gave us picks for each of these as well. So the first one was Jordan Love, over or under, pick 16.5. Craig and I both went over, Cinch went under, and the over was correct because he went to Green Bay at pick 26.
Yes, and everyone is really mad about that pick.
Who's everyone? I think it's genius.
I think it was a good pick because, again, it's doing what we just talked about with Mixon. You know, it's giving you a backup, and it's securing your future because, let's face it, Aaron Rodgers he's not getting younger, and he has an injury history. He's still good, but
he's getting older.
What happens if he breaks his clavicle again?
And history repeated itself. A quarterback that was a development project dropped to the last couple picks of the first round. Green Bay went and got him while they had a Hall of Fame quarterback in place. This is the same story from Aaron Rodgers' draft day. Aaron Rodgers was drafted late first round after he plummeted in the picks. They thought he would go earlier. He was in the green room because they were so sure he was going to go early in that draft. Green Bay snatched him up. Brett Favre was pissed about it. He was like, I'm not helping this kid, blah, blah, blah. It's the same situation. So a lot of people are like, well, Aaron Rodgers is going to be upset about this. The GM, whose name I cannot pronounce.
Who cares about GMs?
I wrote it down, and I still Gutenkust or something like that. They asked him in a phone call last night. He was like, "What does Aaron Rodgers think about this pick?" And his response was, "I haven't called Aaron yet." So I'm sure Aaron Rodgers is somewhere stewing. The rumor mill is flying. I got a rumor from Mike Wilbon is predicting he'll be on the Bears before the start of the season. That Aaron Rodgers will be a Bear. That's crazy.
Maybe, but why would they trade him to someone in the division?
They won't, which is why Favre went to the Jets before he ended up in Minnesota, was for exactly that reason. They're not trading Aaron Rodgers. They're drafting his successor.
Yes.
Breaking news. We all get old. All of us.
And quarterbacks get hit a lot.
Yes. And sports is a time-limited profession as a player. We get old. We start to slow down. We all have to retire at some point. Aaron Rodgers is going to have to retire at some point.
Yeah, but the Packers will still exist.
Exactly. The question is, will Aaron Rodgers go the way of Brett Favre and be a jerk about it? Or will he sit there and say, you know what? Here's an opportunity for me to show that I am a bigger man. I don't know. I don't know
what happens if, let's hypothetically say, Love gets to Green Bay. We're assuming there's a season. All of a sudden, Aaron Rodgers becomes a top quarterback in the NFL, wins a Super Bowl, then he retires. I mean,
kind of like the Alex Smith narrative when they drafted Patrick Mahomes. He took the team to 14-2. I mean, they didn't win a Super Bowl, but 14-2 had the best statistical year of his entire career, so he could go to Washington with a big contract.
And then he broke himself.
But all right. So anyway, the whole point of this is Craig and I were right about Jordan Love. Pick number 2 was C.J. Henderson. The over/under was pick 17.5. We all knew he was going sooner than that. Yep. We all knew he was going sooner than that. He went with pick 9 to the Jacksonville Jaguars. All 3 of us had that one right. Easy. Total cornerbacks taken in the first round. This one was interesting because there's such depth at the secondary position that the over/under was 4.5 cornerbacks. Craig and Cinch both went over. I went under, saying exactly 4 would be taken. Without looking, do you know how many were taken, Craig?
Outside the main guys? No, which I think it was 4. 6.
Okuda, Henderson, Terrell, Arnett. Oh, God, I can't pronounce this guy. Inbingone. The guy to the Dolphins. And Gladney.
Tua.
No, not Tua. The other guy to the Dolphins. The Dolphins drafting guys with names I can't pronounce. 6 cornerbacks in the first round. 6. And one of the guys who went wasn't on my list.
Oh, which one?
He's still
Noah?
available.
Oh,
I'd have to look. Where's the guy who's still available?
Oh, I didn't realize that Minnesota drafted a cornerback too.
They did. Oh, Trevon Diggs is still on the board.
He is.
I thought he was going to go first round. I had 3 of these guys and then Trevon Diggs on my list. Goes to show you what I know. So both Craig and Cinch were right about that one. So if you're keeping score at home, Craig currently has 3 correct. Cinch and I each have 2. But we had an opportunity to catch up because the total wide receivers taken was over under 5.5. Unfortunately, we all went under, and 6 went in the first round.
Close. So
Ruggs,
close.
Judy, Lamb, Rager, Jefferson, and Ayuk all went in the first round. So we were so close to that. Ayuk was the one I didn't have on the list. I had 5 names on my list. Just missed it. So we're still trailing by 1 with 1 to go. The last one was total running backs taken in the round. And we know that 1 went. And it was 0.5.
Yep.
Craig went over. So Craig gets it right. I went over. So I get it right, but I can't catch Craig. Cinch went under and fell to 3rd place. So the finals, Craig got 4 out of 5 right. I got 3 right, and Cinch got 2. So next year, Craig, put some money on the book, because at 4 out of 5, you would have made a couple of bucks.
Nice.
We're not parlaying them all. We'll put them up as individual bets. You'll make a nice little chunk of change there. So that was how the prop bets worked out for us in the first round. All right, so on to more notes.
How many pages of notes do you have?
Just 1.5.
Okay.
And most of it is that over-under detail. I've already talked about the potential end of Damian Williams. I'm going to skip that. Another forgotten person. So one of the things that they were talking about today on the satellite radio was people whose jobs change because of who was drafted.
Okay.
Everyone is happy in Dolphins land that they drafted Tua.
Mm-hmm.
What about Josh Rosen?
Is he the new Raven?
What? Seriously, what about Josh Rosen?
That's a deep wrestling cut, just so everyone knows.
That's a deep cut. What about me? What about Raven? The guy gets drafted by Arizona. He's the future. One season later, they draft his successor and trade him.
Yep.
He goes to the Dolphins where he says, I'm going to rebuild my career. I'm only a second-year player, and I'm going to lead the Dolphins to greatness.
Magic.
Fitzmagic sits there and goes, hold my beer. The Dolphins get the number 1 pick or number 5 pick. They take Tua. Now what do we do with Josh Rosen?
Trade him again.
To who? Who's going to take him at this point? Who is going to take Josh Rosen off your hands?
It depends on the situation. I mean, we don't know. I mean, Josh Rosen may have to live with being a backup quarterback his whole life.
And Fitz is still there.
He's still there, folks, and he's not going anywhere.
So does that mean Rosen's the 3 now?
I would have to say so, yes.
Wow.
Imagine that. See, this is what happens when you open your mouth during the draft. This is what happens. Just saying.
Wow. That's brutal to me. That's brutal to me. And if you have him in Dynasty, find a way to trade him. Which reminds me, you and I need to sit down and have a war room type discussion. About our Dynasty team.
Do we get more trade offers?
No, because I think people are waiting to see how the draft pans out.
Oh, that's true.
But
that's right. We have to pay more attention to the draft for this.
Yeah. We're sitting at the 3 pick. We have a problem at quarterback.
We do.
It's a 2 QB league. We have Aaron Rodgers and Sam Darnold.
Oh, dear.
We have to take one of these 3 guys.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Are we just gonna take whichever one falls to us? And who knows? 2 of them may fall to us.
That's true. We have no idea.
Somebody may sit there and go, you know what? I'm strong at quarterback, but I'm terrible at wideout. I'm gonna take CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, that's what Jerry Jones did.
Yeah, well, that's on my list too. But I'm like, what do we just wait to see who? And you know, I mean, and I'll tell you right now, I do want to pick up this Edwards-Helaire guy. I absolutely would love to get him on the squad, but I don't think he's going to fall to us, and we can't get him in the first round. So, but here's the other part. So we have to have that conversation. All these new guys, we're talking about guys who are going to make, going to compete for the starting job right out the door. Supposedly, what's his name? Zach Taylor said we expect Joe Burrow to compete for the starting job right away. Things of that nature. Can we really expect any of these guys to do anything from a fantasy perspective when we're looking at a limited to possibly non-existent offseason?
I would say no, because let's say hypothetically we have a 2-month season, right?
Okay.
I don't think those 3 teams, or now maybe 4 teams, are going to risk the future of their franchise on a shortened season.
Well, I don't think so either. I think you'll see Tua start because the Dolphins the Dolphins are going to look at it as we need to get this kid baptized by fire, and if it's only going to be 6 to 8 games, then so be it. It's only 6 to 8 games to wear.
But if you look at the Bengals and the Chargers, I don't know if I'd risk it.
And how about oh my God. What? I like this Herbert kid, but all right, listen, we all know Mike Williams listens to this podcast because he must, because every time I've ever recommended him, he has done nothing. And the weeks I fade him, he goes out there and lights the world on fire. So he must listen to the podcast in an effort to say, fuck you, Britt. He has to. It's the only thing that makes sense. So you've got to downgrade both him and Keenan Allen for 2020 because we don't know what we're going to get out of Herbert. We don't. And
we don't, because as of right now, Tyrod Taylor is a starter.
Yes, and there's not going to be any time to establish a rhythm.
And Justin said that he's perfectly fine carrying a clipboard all season. So
my advice is if you're drafting in our redraft league, you're taking these guys extremely late. Let somebody go nuts and draft Joe Burrow in the 4th or 5th round.
We might
Let
have
it
to.
happen. Let it happen. Let Craig take Joe Burrow in the 4th round. Let it happen. Smile and nod and realize that he just passed up on somebody who's going to outpoint Joe Burrow by 100 points at the end of the year because of the way this is going to happen.
Unless you're in a dynasty league like us.
Now, Dynasty League, it's different because you're not drafting for this year. You're drafting for the future.
Right.
So I fully expect, by the way, that our box is going to get flooded with offers for that 3 pick. I've already had every offer I've already turned down has involved this 3 pick, and
Really?
some of them have been really bad. I'll give you Sterling Sharp and my 2024 first round pick, and you're going to send me Devontae Adams and this year's first round pick. No. No.
No. I want a Dolphins level offer.
How about this? You send me Sterling Sharp and your first round pick, and I'll send you a picture of Devontae Adams smiling because that's what it's worth. All right, some of the offers I have. Oh my God, everybody wants Darrell Henderson now from us, Craig.
Really?
Everybody wants Darrell Henderson because Gurley's gone, but nobody wants to pay up for him. Everybody, I'll give him my 3rd round this year, and 2 bags of Lay's potato chips that have been partially eaten for Darrell Henderson. No, I'm not. No, this guy has a chance to be the future, and here's what's going to happen. Week 1, presuming there's going to be a week 1. Darrell Henderson's going to go out there and have 6 carries for 18 yards.
Yes.
And I'm going to get more bad offers.
Yes.
I'll send you Eli Manning. He's dead. Oh, I'll send you Peyton Manning. He's dead too. I'll send you both. That's not helping. The offers will people like to incite panic by making lowball offers. You're desperate to get rid of this guy, so I will lowball. No. I'm not on the Darrell Henderson train, but I'm not going to trade him for a 3rd round pick that's going to end up being some guy. I'm just going to pick a random name. I'm not going to trade him for a guy that's going to end up being Reggie Corbin or J.J. Taylor. Sorry, not happening.
Yeah,
not happening.
Essentially.
So we talked to. Okay, so the whole Packer thing. I want to go back really quick to the Aaron Rodgers thing. Because every team who needs a quarterback is now starting a conspiracy theory that Rodgers is going to be traded there. I already mentioned how Michael Wilbon is saying Rodgers is going to the Bears. I've seen Patriot websites who are now telling me that Aaron Rodgers will be a Patriot.
What?
Yeah.
No. They don't have any money.
Yeah.
I mean, they couldn't afford Dalton. How are they going to afford Aaron Rodgers?
I'm telling you.
I don't think he's going anywhere.
By the way,
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
This season's so up in the air.
Yeah, we have no idea what's going to happen.
I can't see a major change like that happening.
But you know what is happening? There's report out of Houston that Bill O'Brien has made yet another genius move.
He's going to do something stupid.
He's going to give 3 years and $66 million to left tackle Laramie Tunsil in an offseason where we're not sure there will be a season that follows it. He's going to pay $22 million a year. $50 million of this is guaranteed.
Oh my
50
God.
out of $66 million.
Who is this guy's agent?
$50 million guaranteed when there may not be a year to play. Does Bill O'Brien think he doesn't have to pay them? Is he think he's going to shut this down like a small mom and pop restaurant during the outbreak?
He might.
He's going to call Larry Tunsil and go, I'm sorry, dude, I got to furlough you for 3 weeks. That's not how this works. That is not how this works. Oh.
Speaking of drafting really quick, did you see Cliff Kingsbury's
Palace?
Did you
Palace
see the picture of that?
With a Spartan-esque sacrificial fire pit?
Yep.
He looks like he could have pagan rituals out on that thing. Could fit 75 people if they don't social distance.
Easily.
Well, now we know how he got the job. He went out there and he sacrificed a goat by the moonlight.
Probably.
I was like,
man.
I went to bed. I'm going to be fully honest. I went to bed, I think after like pick 6, I was just like so kind of just like grumpy and tired. Because the funny part was, and I got to tell this story. So out of fairness to my wife, I said, I'm going to go watch the draft on my laptop in my bedroom. And she was like, okay. I didn't want to clog up the TV. So in the moments leading up to the pick, I'm on the podcaster thread. And I'm like, guys, I'm on a delay. Don't post the pick names until I say something. Sean, okay. Craig, okay. Cinch, okay. 30 seconds later, the source writes in, Joe Burrow to the Bengals. And my clock still has like a minute and a half on it. And I'm like, would you please read up? We just had a 20-minute conversation about not doing this.
I don't think he scrolls up.
He doesn't. He picks up the phone and goes, 36 missed messages. Well, I'm not reading that. And I get it. But it's draft night. You know we're talking about the draft.
Oh, man. Yeah.
So I was just like, screw this. This is not going to be enjoyable for me. I'm just going to freaking bed. I'm finishing my beer and I'm going to bed. So that's what I did. Finished my beer and I went to bed. And I woke up this morning and I had like 107 missed messages and alerts on my phone. It was brutal.
Those weren't messages, folks. It was probably ESPN.
Mostly ESPN. Some was Fantasy Pros. I'm tied into them. Some was from our Dynasty League. The Dynasty guys were all excited. So I want to talk a little bit about Justin Herbert because I'm surprised. I'm not surprised he went to the Chargers. He's a smart kid.
Why is he a smart kid? He has a 4.0 degree in biology.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What kind? Like fancy biology or like regular biology? Like, is he like a microbiologist specializing in like virus mutations?
Maybe. I'm not sure what level of biology, but
so he's going to the Chargers.
Yes.
So my reaction to that is meet the new boss, just younger than the old boss. He's the same guy. He's got a cannon arm. He's ultra competitive from what I hear. And his decision making is good on the field, but he doesn't make mistakes, but he can be outwitted, so to speak. That's what I'm hearing about him. And that's Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers is go out there, here's the play, I'm going to snap the ball, look for the guy I think is most likely to catch it and throw.
Right.
The problem is there are times where Phillip Rivers threw the ball when no one was likely to catch it, except a member of the other team.
That did happen. That did happen.
A lot. So to me, this is just and here's the thing. Here's my point on this. The Chargers cannot afford a 2 or 3 year development with this kid. They can't afford to do what they did with Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City. They can't do this. I'm trying to think of another good example of where they gave a guy a year or so to develop that actually ended up working out in recent history. Well, Aaron Rodgers played behind Favre for 2 full seasons, but you can't do that. And the reason you can't do it is because, number one, you traded your franchise – you let your franchise quarterback walk to bring this kid in. And number two, you are in L.A. in a brand-new stadium where 97% of the local people could not give 2 shits about you playing there.
Well, here's one thing, though. Did they let him walk away because they were assuming they were going to get Tom Brady?
I don't care why they thought they let him walk away. They let him walk away because they were done with him. They wanted to change a quarterback. You just changed cities. You're opening a new stadium, and you have 0 fan support. 0 fan support in L.A. None. The people, if I held up 3 pairs of tickets, a Dodgers night game, a Lakers night game. I won't even go Lakers because Laker tickets are impossible. A Clippers night game. Or a primetime game on television against the team of your choosing. Kansas City's coming to town. People would not take the Chargers tickets. People would rather see the Dodgers or the Clippers.
Or the LA Kings.
Or the LA. Yeah, you know what? There you go. You want to make this really extreme? LA Kings? I got tickets to watch esports. You want to watch eNASCAR? Right now, those tickets would go ahead. No one cares about the Chargers in LA.
No, they should have just stayed in San Diego.
Exactly, but now you're in a spot. You've drafted the future in a new stadium you're sharing with the Rams. You need to make a splash this year. You need to make noise, or you're not going to draw any fans. You have got to find a way to make yourself appealing to the LA fan base. You can't take time with this. I don't think Justin Herbert is ready for prime time.
No, he needs a year, I think.
and they don't have a year to give them. And that's the
I'm going to give you a list of Oregon quarterbacks that went in the first round. You tell me where you think Justin is on this list. You ready?
I know Mariota's on this list.
All right, so 1955, George Shaw.
The Hall of Famer?
Went to Baltimore. The Colts.
Okay.
Baltimore. 1987, Atlanta, Chris Miller.
Oh my God, remember Chris Miller?
1999, possibly the worst pick ever. Achilles Smith, Cincinnati.
I didn't know he went to Oregon. Okay.
Yep. 2002, Detroit, Joey Harrington.
Wow, I forgot Joey Harrington.
2015, Tennessee,
Marcus
Mariota.
Listen, Oregon is a fantastic school for football. Fantastic. But, you just read a list of all guys who were really, on some level, highly praised coming out of college who amounted to absolutely nothing. Except George Shaw. Wasn't George Shaw in the Hall of Fame?
I can look that up. He might
I'm
be.
looking it up right now.
Oh, all right.
George Shaw was an American football quarterback.
He was.
College. He played for the Colts, the Giants, the Vikings, and the Broncos. Oh, dear.
The Denver Broncos.
His Wikipedia page has one paragraph on his career, so I'm guessing he did not do that well. He suffered a broken leg in 1956 and was replaced by a rookie backup in Baltimore. Do you know the name of that quarterback?
What was the name of that quarterback?
Johnny Unitas.
Really? Wow.
He got Wally pipped.
Now there's a haircut you can set your watch to.
Yeah, Johnny Unitas' haircut. So for those of you who don't know who Wally Pipp is, you really should, because it's actually very good history. Wally Pipp was the first baseman for the New York Yankees who wasn't feeling well one day. So when he got to the clubhouse, he said to the manager at the time, Coach, you probably want to sit me out just for today. I'm not feeling good. And he said, all right, we're going to put the backup in. That backup's name was Lou Gehrig.
Oh, poor Wally.
Wally Pipp never started another game for the New York Yankees. And I know that for a fact because Lou Gehrig played like 2,000 of them in a row.
Yep.
And that's, I remember when I was in high school, I was a statistician for our high school baseball team one year, and somebody failed to hustle on a routine ground ball that ended up getting muffed, and the kid got thrown out by a heartbeat. But if he had busted his butt down the line, he would have been safe. And when he got back to the dugout, the manager, coach for our high school team, just turned around the front step and said, "Who can tell me who Wally Pipp is?" And the captain of the team stood up and basically said what I just said. And he went, "Wally Pipp wouldn't have run that out either." And he turned back around, and the message was just crystal freaking clear. The next guy up, the guy sitting on bat circle listening to this little speech, he goes in there, he hits this tiny dribbler that rolls right back to the pitcher, and this kid runs down the first base line like he is on fire. He is not going to get yelled at for lack of hustle. And the pitcher obviously hadn't heard the speech. He was like, "Why the hell is this guy running so fast?" So he ran up to the ball and threw the ball and got him by a hair. But the name Wally Pipp instills fear in players. Don't get Wally pipped.
That's right.
George Shaw got Wally pipped. Don't get Wally pipped. That's it's a little different because Wally voluntarily took himself out of the lineup that day.
He did.
But it's a different thing.
That's what happens. It's fate.
Yeah. So all right. So fantasy football. Presuming we have a full season, you have to pick one of the 4 quarterbacks that went yesterday. Who are you taking?
Well, you already know I'm going to take Burrow.
Yeah, I got to go Burrow too. I'll say this too before we get to final thoughts. The one guy that glares at me as ready for prime time on this list, even if we do have a shortened, is CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah,
CeeDee Lamb
he's in Dallas.
He's going to Dallas. Jerry Jones might just hand him the key to the city now.
I wish when it got to pick 16, who was before Dallas?
I'd have to look it up. Hold on a second.
Let me see. Hold on. They were pick 17, so pick 16 was the Falcons.
They took Terrell.
They did.
The cornerback, yeah.
When that went through, I would have loved to have seen Jerry Jones' face when he realized that CeeDee Lamb was still there, because no one thought he was going to drop past like 10.
But you know what? He had to know. The moment that Denver at 15 took Jerry Jeudy, because Atlanta was not drafting wideout. Atlanta's
Nope.
got so many
And
holes.
then-
The only thing they could not take was wideout.
Right, and the Raiders took Ruggs.
Yes. Yeah, I'm shocked that he I'm not shocked that he fell. I'm shocked that Ruggs went before him. I wasn't shocked that Judy did. Judy I've watched some tape on Jerry Jeudy, and again, I'm no expert on college football. I just watch what's on TV. Jerry Jeudy reminds me so much of Randy Moss. The way he runs route, the way he can catch over his shoulder, the way he battles for a ball and uses his size. He just reminds me physically of Randy Moss.
And just so you know, folks, Randy Moss's son is in the draft.
Yeah, he's still out there, right?
Tight end.
He's a tight end.
He's a big dude. Mostly a blocking tight end, but still, you need those.
I mean, Ruggs was the number 3 wide receiver on Mel Kiper's list, and he went first of the 3. But, you know, I honestly, if you said to me right now, the season is starting November 1st, we're going to play 8 games and then a playoff, and you have to take a rookie, I probably would go with CeeDee Lamb. I think he's going to have instant chemistry. And we already know Dak Prescott doesn't give a shit about the social distancing rules. CeeDee Lamb's probably already sleeping on his couch.
Probably.
So let's move on to final thoughts. Craig, what do you got for us this week?
You know, if you're watching the draft, you know, just have fun with it because it is the only live sport thing we have right now.
Yeah.
And pay attention to who goes in later rounds.
Oh yes.
Like, I mean, really later rounds. Because as we all know, you know, Tom Brady went in, what, rounds?
5 or 7.
7, what, 5? TJ Houshmandzadeh went in round 7. So, and he helped win me many fantasy games, so.
Tom Brady was pick number 199. He was a compensatory pick in the 6th round. 6th round, and a compensatory pick. Just keep that in mind, folks.
Yep, you never know. You
never know. And because we've issued the name Tom Brady, I'll make Tom Brady my final thought too. Tom, I must talk directly to you because again, I know you listen to the show.
Britt just took off his glasses.
Not yet. Tom, you're in a new place now. You need to get used to the local customs. Boston is not the same as Tampa. You've already been kicked out of a park for violating the park closure. And then we found out this week that you wandered into the wrong house looking for Byron Leftwich. You need to – it's not the same universe, brother. You've got to get in there and start behaving like you're somewhere new. I know you're not a big fan of, like, quote, air quotes, starting over kind of stuff. You have a regiment. You've got to be – you're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy.
Can you imagine he went into that random person's house, right?
Yep.
Let's hypothetically say that person didn't know who Tom Brady was.
He didn't recognize him. He admitted that.
He did or didn't?
He didn't. He said he took him like 45 seconds to a minute afterwards where he was like, wait a minute, was that?
But imagine like if this person like grabbed a board with a nail in it and like hit him in the head.
Well,
like,
according to the guy whose house it was, the only reason the door was unlocked is because he's trying to sell the house, and the realtor said he was sending people over to look at the house.
Oh.
So when Brady walked in, he thought it was somebody who was interested in buying his house, and then he saw Brady drop 2 bags of equipment, which is what he was doing. He was dropping off stuff that Leftwich was going to hold on to him for. I don't know why Leftwich would want it, but he was bringing it over for his coach to hold on to some equipment so they could work out at some point in the near future. And that was when the guy was like, "Who are you?" And Brady's reaction was, "Am I in the wrong house? Is this not Byron's house?" And the guy was like, "Oh, you're looking for Byron? He lives next door." And he apologized. I mean, Brady was nice about it, but can you imagine? So now you're Byron Leftwich. Your front door opens, and Tom Brady walks in and goes, "Oh man, I am off to a rough start in this goddamn town. I gotta apologize to your neighbor." "What, Tim?" "Yeah, I just walked in on Tim." I mean, Byron, how do you not just drop dead laughing at that? If Leftwich didn't laugh at that, I hope he did. I really do, because we'll see what happens. But we almost made an entire episode without invoking the name of the evil one, but we're there. So, well, in the meantime, listen to, wherever you listen to us, please leave us a review. We are going to do another Facebook Live, probably sometime in the beginning of May, mid-May. I enjoyed doing it. I'll tell you this right now, Craig. I was exhausted.
Yeah.
Dead tired. It is so much harder to do a live broadcast than it is to do a podcast.
It is. It is.
I have to worry about how I look. I'm reading chat comments. Brutal.
You gotta look around a lot.
Yeah, and I mean, I've done some low-level YouTube broadcasting for sporting events.
But that's just audio, right? You're not.
Well, I'm managing cameras. So at the curling club where I play, we have a broadcasting setup, and the commentator can control the camera angles and has to manage the chat. But
you're not on camera.
No, curling has pauses, much like the 30 or 40 seconds between pitches in a baseball game. There's these brief pauses in between shots. It takes about 30 or 40 seconds all told from end of one shot to the delivery of the next one. People got to get in place, discussion happen, all that stuff. There's breaks there. When you're doing a live broadcast where you're just talking about football, there's no breaks. I'm making sure that the camera's working. I'm going over to look at the chat. I'm looking at the timer to make sure we don't go over. It was exhausting, mentally exhausting, but I loved it. And my mother-in-law loved it. My mother-in-law called me to say that she enjoyed watching us, and that she wants to know when we're going to do it again because she's going to watch it again. I think her exact words were, "I didn't know any of the people they were talking about, but they just seemed to be so excited I couldn't help but like it." Okay, I'll take it. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Bob. So, but leave us a review. Wherever you listen to us, leave us a review. We will try to be back next week. Enjoy the rest of the draft, like Craig said, and we'll start working on Craig and I. And once again, folks, if you're tuning into us for Dynasty advice, you're better off putting your ear to the wall and listening to your pipes. We are not Dynasty experts.
We're still figuring
bad
it
at
out.
it. We're not naturals at Dynasty. We are not Dynasty naturals. So, we will probably discuss a little bit of Dynasty, but if you're looking for a tiebreaker on an opinion, you're better off asking your cat than asking either me or Craig when it comes to Dynasty. We are short-term day traders, folks. Short-term investors. That's our expertise. So, but in the meantime, we thank you for listening to us. Go have a safe and wonderful week. Continue to take care of yourself and each other. Until then, my name is Britt.
I'm Craig.
And we are the Football Fignuts Podcast.